Welcome to the Divorce View Talk Show. Hello, I'm Joanie Winberg, founder of the National Association Divorce for Women and Children, and also the facilitator of the live group coaching program called How to Emotionally Survive Divorce. Today, my guest is Virginia Parsons, and she is the founder of the Hangout Marketing University and loves to help entrepreneurs reach their heights. Virginia is also a passionate entrepreneur herself who raised 3 children as a divorced single mom and went on to find her calling through coaching and mentoring. Virginia is also the executive producer and host of the weekly TV show, the Inspirational Business Women Show. So I'm just thrilled that she's on our show today, and we're going to actually be talking about how to discover your identity and soar like an eagle after divorce. We're going to hear Virginia's story, but also we're going to talk about being a role model for your children, discovering your passion in the midst of pain, and opening yourself to new possibilities. So I can't wait to get started. So welcome, Virginia.
Hi, Joanie. I'm so thrilled to be here. I'm really an admirer of what you're doing and uplifting women through what I know is one of the most challenging times in their life. And I hope that my story can help in that as well. So thank you for inviting me.
Oh, I'm just thrilled you're here. So before we jump into some of the tips and things that you want to share and learn more about your business, why don't you share your story? Because to me, it's very powerful and it's going to inspire women definitely to follow their passion.
Well, my story goes way back. So I'll try to give you a condensed version. Just to let you know that I really was, my role in life many years ago was to be a mother and of course a wife. And that's where I put all my energy. I started and got my teaching degree early on and was actually asked if I would start the Title I program in our local school, which was brand new. And so I did went in there and built that from scratch, working with really deprived children who many times didn't have the mother at home or a parent figure or didn't have the guidance that I think is so important. And I think it's one of the most important things we'll ever do in our lives is to be a parent and to be a role model for our children. And so when I was asked to go from the Title I program into teaching full time, I had at that time become pregnant with my first child. And I consciously made the decision to not take that job because I really decided that it was the most important thing I could be doing would be raising my children. And I made a conscious decision along with my husband that we were going to do whatever it took to just have a one-person earning in the family and that I would take care of the household. So that's an old traditional way of looking at marriage and life. And boy, has it changed a lot with my children. But that's how it was for me. Unfortunately, the marriage did not work out after 17 years. And I was such a traditionalist, I really kind of dug my feet in and said, staying married for the sake of the children mentality for a long time until I realized that I was feeling so suffocated in the process of trying to maintain myself in a relationship that just wasn't working, that I finally did have to literally liberate myself because unfortunately there wasn't a lot of change wanting to take place on the other side, even though we went through a couple years of counseling trying to make things work. So and that was really one of the most trying times of my life. It was probably one of the most depressing times of my life. I had this image of a family, a unit that was a mother, a father, and children, and that you stay together for the sake of the family and for the sake of the children. And it was a really hard thing for me to let go of. Now,
I'm shaking my head because I can relate.
I think so many people can. And so here I'd set my own career on the back burner. So I was coming out of this marriage with, nothing to go out there into the workforce and offer. My teaching certificate had then expired, and I was a mom, and I was a good mom, and I'm proud of the mothering that I did. But here suddenly I had to support myself. That was so scary, so scary. So just to tell you how things evolved for a few minutes, I ended up going to take some fitness classes. Fitness classes has started to become a big thing. I think that was when Jane Fonda started to do her dancing and everything. So I said, well, let me do that. I was feeling kind of just really down in the dumps. And it was the only thing I found that made me feel good. When I was exercising and jumping around to the music, the light went back on inside me. And actually the fitness teacher at the time saw this in me and invited me to help her teach classes.
Awesome.
Because she saw this glow, and it truly saved me at that time, because during that working out and working up a sweat and jumping around to music, I felt alive. And then when I went back to try and face the issues of the divorce, I just felt everything just kind of sink back in again. So I became a little bit addicted to the exercise part of it. I was bringing my kids with me to the classes. I mean, they all understood that this made mommy feel better. And so, and to this day, all my kids are very big into exercise and taking care of themselves, because they saw what a difference it made for me. So my whole career started to evolve around the fact that I went to take a fitness class, and someone saw me as a cheery person that could help other people feel better.
And that was part of your passion of supporting others and helping others. And what a great role model for your kids to see, for sure.
Yeah, I think it was very important that they saw that, rather than the sad part of me, the part of me that didn't feel very good about myself, that didn't have a very good sense of self. My identity was in my family, and I do not regret that at all. But there's a whole nother side to life that I was now opened up to discover. And that's why we talked about discovering your identity and soaring like an eagle, because as I started to take off onto this new path, I ended up getting my master's degree in health and fitness education. So that was while I was raising my kids and going to school part-time while they were in school, and doing the balancing act that I know so many people can equate to and relate to. I ended up really developing a whole career, and actually co-managed of a large corporate fitness center, worked for a number of corporations in the Wisconsin area where I was living at the time. Very big ones. You'd know their names, believe me.
But when you really think about it, it's you like you said, you did go back to the sad times, but yet eventually the happy times and the passion was taking over, and that was showing through you, and the kids related to that, and that's the bottom line, and that's how they remember seeing you. And that's why it's so important for women to realize that, even though through these difficult times, we try to be the best role model that we can be. But if you can find your passion and find that happiness, then that's what the kids are also going to relate to. Kids see and hear everything. So it's so, so important. So if women can pick themselves up and, just like you did, find something that helps you feel a little bit better, even if it's just a matter of a quick, exercise program, or taking walks every day, or a craft or a hobby. But that's what it's all about, is finding something that makes you feel good.
Yeah, and I would say one of the fastest ways to change your mood, in all honesty, is music. At least it is for me. You turn on music that's got something that uplifts you, and that's going to be different for everybody. Get the music on and start moving to it in some way, or breathing to it in some way. Anything that's going to shift your energy patterns, and you'll know. As soon as you start to feel a little bit better, that's the way I need to move. That's the direction I need to go in to continue to feel better. And for me, it was a godsend, truly. So, I'm so grateful that, aerobics and all those things
had music
very popular right then, because I don't know what I would have done if it had been an earlier time when we didn't have those options and women did exercise, because, they might get these big muscles kind of.
Oh, I know. That's the myth for sure. I know myself, I, listened to a lot of Motown growing up, and I hear those songs, and I could be driving in the car, and all of a sudden I'm dancing or wiggling to the music as I'm driving. And, I'm sure people driving by are thinking, what's this lady doing? But, it really just shifts you and helps you feel so good. And that's one of the things I always say to my clients, find what helps you shift from that negative feeling to something positive, because that's certainly what you'll attract more. So that's a phenomenal story. And it also, connected with how to be the role model for your children. But going from your story, though, when you were training in the corporate world or teaching exercise and so forth, then what happened from there? Because now you're an entrepreneur. So what happened from there?
Yeah, because I am now an entrepreneur, and I'm actually under contract with different corporations to come in and run different programs for them. So here's what happened. And I just also want to put this out on the table for people to think about. Be so open to possibilities and where they might lead you. You just never know. And my path is in some ways really convoluted, but I'm so glad that I took the walk or the stroll or the journey this way, because the one thing I will say really helped me was to be open to other possibilities. So in this case, I was working in the corporation, working in the corporate fitness center, and I had people at this point, with all my background and training, I'd been doing yoga and meditation since I was 20. And so I had understood the power of the mind-body connection. And I was teaching yoga in addition to strength training and aerobic and, you name it. I was doing stress management. I was teaching smoking cessation, weight management, all of these different areas that evolve around wellness from a corporate standpoint. So what kept happening is people would come to me and say, well, okay, I get it. I know what I'm supposed to do. Why is it I can't do it consistently? And of course, this was particularly true of, weight management, which had to do with changing your lifestyle. We're not into diets, we're into lifestyle changes that are healthy, but and exercise, of course, was part of that. But also with stress and smoking, they kept saying, I just can't seem to change these old habits. They just come back at me harder than ever. And so having the background in yoga that I'd had, and I'd studied since I was 20, and this point I was about 38, I went to discover another avenue to help people. That's really kind of foundationally, that's what I'm about. How can I best assist other people? And so I discovered hypnotherapy. And this was a great discovery for me, even though, I was a little concerned about what is this? I don't want to control anyone's mind, but I wanted to find a tool that would assist people. So I discovered hypnotherapy. I went off for extensive training. I would go for 2 weeks at a time, 3 weeks at a time, back and forth, coordinating my work with my co-partner. And, by the time I was done, I went through 2 years of advanced clinical hypnotherapy training and certification. And during that time, as I was learning these tools and techniques, I started practicing with people who were willing to play with me in the hypnotherapy realm. And so I actually went into locker rooms. I couldn't go into the guys' locker rooms, obviously, but I was working predominantly with women. So I'd go into the locker rooms with them, and I would start helping them get their goals and get clear in their goals and feel themselves shifting internally. And I would deepen the suggestions that we were using to reinforce by the slamming of the lockers. You hear that locker slam, you're going to go even deeper and feel even more in control of your choices and seek out the best possible nutrition for your body, because it makes you feel good inside. It helps you to glow. It energizes you, going on and on.
I think it's awesome.
The point being that it directed my path on the journey. I moved from fitness because, at 38 to 40, and I was at that time teaching, good God, 12 to 22 classes a week.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, I would teach 6 programs on Mondays, and I would wake up on Tuesday and call it my Mack truck day, because I really felt like I'd been hit by one. So I knew that I couldn't continue to teach that many fitness classes as I was getting older. And so the obvious transformation in that was that I really just branched off to really specializing in coaching and becoming a hypnotherapist and life coach. So to jump forward, another 20 some years, I did that for about 25 years.
Wow. Incredible.
And loved it. It was absolutely transforming for me and transforming for my clients. You know, I opened my own office and really ended up with quite a reputation, had people coming to me from several states away. And I loved the work. I loved working with helping people break through limiting beliefs, sabotaging thoughts, negative thinking. I called it, you know, you got to get rid of your negative thinking. That stinking thinking's got to go.
Stinking thinking. I've always used that saying. I love it. Yeah.
So,
and especially if it's weight loss and you know, just depression or trying to quit smoking. I mean, and you know, I'm sure that's even helpful, you know, for women in any challenge. I know I do a lot of stress management myself and help women shift and believe in their mind, or watch their mindset of how it's not serving them. And you know, in fact, I had to go that route myself. I didn't go into hypnotism, but I went to that route because I needed to change my mindset. And because divorce is so emotional and draining, and both of us wanted to be the best we could be for our kids. So it's doing the work for yourself is what's important.
It is. And really, I always thought of myself, because I don't practice hypnotherapy anymore for the last 3 years in the new career path I've taken, but I use it constantly in the work I do, in the programs that I've set up. But I never thought about myself as anything but a facilitator. And that what that means is when someone would come to me with a challenge, we'd look at the challenge and we'd find out, well, where do you think what I call the initial sensitizing experience about this fear or this belief or this identity that you have given yourself comes from. And in the process of doing that, unlike what I would call traditional psychotherapy, which I'm not, and I'm not trained in, although I have many, many years of training in the mind and how the mind works. But a traditional psychotherapy in my experience was really working on these layers on top and hyper analyzing them to the point of exhaustion. And my approach that I always took was, well, let's find out where these beliefs and ideas originally came from, because that's kind of the foundation of all the feelings that keep welling up inside of you. And, you know, if you're talking about patterns and habits and belief systems that keep coming back, that's how you help change them. You've got to change that identifying belief that started often many years ago.
And get to that core.
And we call it, get to that initial sensitizing experience. And once you do, you can reframe that in a way that helps you understand it from what I'd call a more adult perspective. And next thing you know, all those other layers that have compounded the belief system in the first place kind of fall away. It's a really rapid way to make change in your life. And that's why I fell in love with it, because I saw people making transformations. I mean, really, you know, within 1 or 2 sessions, what they might have been working on for a few years.
Oh, I'm sure they had been, we're just so tired of it. So to me, like you've mentioned, is, you know, like we just kind of recapping here for a minute, you know, be the role model and then open yourself up for new possibilities. And then to me, what's tying in with this is something that's really important for people is what you did, is that you did discover your passion through your pain. And that really, your story is all about that. And then what you found was that you're serving others and helping them to discover their passion in the midst of their pain by removing all that stinking thinking, as you mentioned. So how powerful that is, you know, to have done that, and how rewarding that was for about 25 years of doing that. Amazing.
It was amazingly rewarding. I mean, even when I think about it now, it just fills my soul, because don't we all want to be here in some way to make a difference? And I will go back to the most important thing I know that I've ever done was to find myself and to discover what really does ignite my spirit and my soul, and demonstrate that to my children, as well as being a stable person in their life, being there for them. And my kids are thriving.
And that to me is once again what they see. Yes, I know myself with purpose. Once I really was so clear with mine, it gave me direction. I felt like I had a compass to say, all right, this is where you're going. Maybe you felt the same way as well. But without that feeling of purpose, I feel like I was just kind of floating without any direction. So purpose is huge, 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 huge.
Purpose is huge, but I'm also going to add that I think, Joanie, that it evolves.
Mm-hmm.
So that don't, because I went through that for a while. Oh God, what is my passion? What am I here to do? What is life about? The big pictures. Who am I anyway? And then I finally let go of feeling that it was important that I knew for sure. Instead, I decided that it was important that I knew that it felt right. I didn't have to have it clearly defined. I didn't have to have my path out in front of me, all straight and narrow. I just had to ask myself, does this feel right right now? Does what I'm doing uplift my spirit, uplift my soul, uplift my energy, and give me a sense of being alive? That's, to me, the key. When you connect with really feeling alive rather than just going through the motions in life, you found your purpose, you found your passion, and it can come from anywhere and also branch out in many, many different directions. It doesn't have to be a mono purpose or a mono passion.
No, absolutely not. And listening to that, being conscious of it and listening to those feelings that I always felt if it's feeling great, I'm going in the right direction. So to me, you hung on to that and you listened. That's the key as well. You're conscious about it. So after you did your 25 years of hypnosis, what transpired that you decided to? I know you said you may be still doing that a little bit, but mainly you're now doing a whole different world. So what transpired?
Yeah,
there?
and the lesson I want to share with this is, again, be open to where you're guided. You just never know what might be around the corner or up around the bend that you had never thought would be anything, or you couldn't have even envisioned it because it didn't exist. Okay. Hangouts on air didn't exist. Live stream broadcasting didn't exist. So how did I discover this? Well, I was, my mom had become a very well, she went and lived a wonderful long life. She died at almost 93. But in the last few years, she did need me, and I wanted to be there for her. She was a wonderful mother. I feel so blessed to have had her in my life and had her as a role model for me, and I wanted to be there for her. So that suddenly created, okay, how do I continue to work with people and take care of my mom? So the decision I made, and it wasn't an easy one, I closed my office. I said, I know that this time with my mom right now is precious, and I want to be there with her in her final days. So I closed my office and I explained to my clients, and I will tell you that this also happened to be during a big downturn in the economy that we all remember back in 2009, 2010. And I just made the conscious decision, yes, I'm going to close my office. I'm going to move my office to my mother's house so that I can be there with her during the day. I did get some help, in the evening and mornings, but early mornings, but I was there throughout the day with her. So then the challenge became, how can I still work in my passion, doing hypnotherapy and life coaching, and be here for my mom? Well, the decision came about, it revealed itself to me because I had at the same time more and more clients who were not local. It gets more and more difficult for people to travel a distance to work with me, and I would always work with them about an hour and a half, and then they'd have to go home. So that could be a whole day invested in, having an appointment with me if they're traveling any distance. And I had a lot of clients like that. And then I had more people who wanted to start to work with me at a distance that wasn't feasible, for driving. So I began to explore Skype. First of all, I did some hypnotherapy strictly on the phone. It worked, but I didn't like it because part of my responsibility to my client was to be as aware of everything that was going on with them during the what we call the trance state as I could be. And because the body gives lots of signals during trance,
absolutely.
even though the person is very relaxed, I take them to a place of ease, safety, and comfort. And so they're in a good space, because that's part of my responsibility as the therapist. But if you can't see what's going on and sort of monitor their respiration and what we call little physical abreactions, you're missing part of what is important as a therapist. So I said, I really don't like doing phone work this way. And I wasn't going to bring clients into my mother's home. So this was a real big challenge to continue helping people. So I fooled around with Skype for a while. And I wasn't pleased with that either, because Skype was, still not very stable. And it just wasn't. And I just didn't like the way it worked in Skype. Not to say it couldn't be done. I did some. But then I discovered Hangouts on Air, and they've only been around, 3 years now or so. So I discovered Hangouts on Air, and I started to do coaching, and they're, like, you can do a Hangout on Air and have it be totally private between you and me. And I can make connections and build trust and build a really good relationship with my clients right here, because it's just as though you and I are sitting here across the table from each other having a chat.
Absolutely.
And because of the control I had of this tool, as far as making it private, and then making the session available to my clients right away so they could go back and review it if they would find that helpful, or they could take it and listen to the suggestions I made over and over again and keep the programming going. I found it to be a really powerful tool. And then I discovered everything else you could do with it. I started playing with the technology, and here's another little lesson I want to share with all of you is, don't think you're ever too old to do this stuff. I'm now what would you call it? A Medicare kid. And I'm kind of proud that I can show my grandkids that, I'm kind of techie grandma. But I wasn't. I want you to know I wasn't. I just gave myself permission to get out of my comfort zone and explore and do what I call playing in the sandbox. In this case, playing in the sandbox of Hangouts on Air, to just figure out all the other things that you could do with it. And in the process, my enthusiasm and passion for what this tool could do, by the way, it's totally free, in case people didn't know this. It's a totally free technology. Anyone can use it, and it takes very, very small amount of equipment to set up. So it's not anything that's costly to set up and use. So I just had people saying, I want to learn. I want you to teach me. I want you to be my mentor. So the next thing I know, I become the Hangout Mentor. And that's what people know me as today, is the Hangout Mentor.
Well, to me, it's just phenomenal, because that, to me, is opening the door for women who have are maybe going through the challenge of divorce right now, find that they would love to start their own business or have a passion and don't have to leave the comforts of their home.
Right.
And that's the beauty of it, like you were doing, without having to leave the comforts of your home to be there with your mom. So I just wanted to make sure at this time, Virginia, that they have your website, and also to connect with you, because to me, you're an inspiration to women, and to have them also be open to learn the tools of Google Hangouts so that they could then take it to the next level themselves if they would like to.
Well, thank you, Joanie. You can see my website here. It's hangoutmarketingu.com. You can go there and get lots of resources. I have a free, what I call a Hangout marketing checklist there. Feel free to register for that. I'll show you something else here that they might be interested in. And then maybe, Joanie, you can share a little bit about your experience with it. I have an assessment that doesn't take you but, maybe 5 minutes at the max. You can do it on your cell phone. You can do it on your computer. All you have to do to take advantage of the assessment is to text the word success, SUCCESS, to area code 307-269-2040. You can also get to the assessment by going to hangout-marketing.com. So either way, hangout- which is a hyphen, hangout-marketing.com. Or you can text success to 307-269-2040. Now, what that's going to provide you with is just a quick, walkthrough of and you may not know anything about Hangouts. A lot of people don't, but maybe you know a little bit about it. But it also asks you questions about your passion and what you're doing if you wanted to have your own business, or even if you're already starting a business from home. And then it gives you an option to have a strategy session with me. If you have I'm giving you the hint, if you want a strategy session with me, you have to have a high enough commitment level. But Joanie, why don't you tell them a little bit about your experience with me and sort of how we got together in the first place?
Well, actually, my co-host sent me a link, and I was probably just starting to put it out there that I'd like to learn more. I was actually with a different host several years ago, and I started to hear about the Google Hangouts. And at that time, I was doing divorce shows, but it was audio, and I just felt that was missing. And you know, to me, I wanted to make that connection, almost like you were saying. You wanted people to see you and make that instant connection. Plus, you can also see more as far as what they may be going through. And I just thought, there must be more to it. So I just sat myself down and started learning more and more about Google Hangouts. And then you came along. And so where I was in my stage of the progress of the whole process was to learn more and to have an understanding and gain the big picture. And then to have that strategy session with you was just incredible, because it started to put all the pieces together and make sense. And I love Google Hangouts. Absolutely love it. In fact, if I have any kind of a conference, they'll say, well, I'll send you a phone number for the conference. And I said, oh, please, I'll send you a link to do a private conference in a Google Hangout. You know, it's like.
Exactly. So you can see each other, meet each other.
Oh, absolutely. But you know, to me, you have the passion to help others, and especially what inspired me to want you to be on the show is how you can support women to find that passion and know that there's tools out there to help them easily without trucking or traveling and, you know, having to leave the home if they can't, you know, or don't want to.
And in addition, I want your viewers to be able to catch the big vision of this, which is why I am so passionate about it. I now, in the past couple years of using Hangouts on Air, have taken my business globally very quickly. I have built such amazing relationships with people from all around the world that never would have happened without using this technology. So if you are someone who is feeling like you're limited to, you have to be at home, you want to be at home, or both, and yet you're looking for a way to, you know, find your passion and share your passion. And that's what I feel it is. Everyone has a gift. Everyone has a skill and a passion. And there's someone out there looking for you. There's someone out there that needs the gifts and the transformations that you provide. And through using something like this Hangout technology, and there are other live streaming technologies out there too. I just think that Hangouts on Air are really the Cadillac of them all, if you want to call it that. Then consider this as an avenue and a tool that it's well worth learning how to pick up, because in getting it, in whatever your passion is, and getting it out there in some way. And by the way, it doesn't have to be a show. Does it?
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
You can do some what I call quick tips. You can put together whole courses and trainings about what you do, and get it into a Hangout and end up with it in a recorded video and create handouts from it. As a matter of fact, I have one more gift for everybody that is all evolves around this, and that is where you can go get my free ebook. And then that's at hmtips.com/ebook. And that tells you sort of my story, how I learned all the different ways that you could monetize Hangouts on Air. And now you can use that ebook and those ideas also on other live streaming technologies. So you could take one of your passions or your gifts and just work with that and use the tool of Hangouts on Air and end up with what I call amazing assets. Anything that you create in a Hangout on Air and gets automatically recorded and uploaded to your YouTube channel becomes an asset of yours that you can then repurpose in multiple ways. And you'll learn about that in that book if you want to download that.
It's amazing. And I'm grateful to have met you to help me pull it all together even more, put the pieces of the puzzle together, and then to work with you one-on-one was incredible. So I appreciate you and also your story. And certainly for our listeners to tune into you and take that free assessment. As you said, it's quick and easy, but also it can maybe ignite that passion. So Virginia, thank you so much for being on the show today. It was very informative but inspiring.
Loved being here, and I hope that I did provide good value for your viewers. But thank you so much for the opportunity, Joanie.
Absolutely. And to all our listeners, to see this video again, it will be on divorceview.com as well. And we also have a podcast. So if you're busy, too busy to watch a video, you can certainly listen to the podcast on the go. And also to go to my website directly if you'd like to learn more about the group coaching program as far as how to emotionally survive divorce, go to freshstartafterdivorce.com. So thanks all again to our guest Virginia, and thanks to all our guests for tuning in. So until then, we'll see you next week. Thanks.